Hey guys, Elise here from Hustle and Groove, where we talk about how to create and grow an online business that's easy, fun, and profitable. Today, I want to talk to you about something really simple that I don't think a lot of people do, and it is repurposing your content. Now, I know that you should be repurposing, right? But how do you actually go about doing it? Well, that's what I want to chat to you about today. We are going to walk through how you can take one email and then turn it into 30 social media posts. You can actually create more, and it doesn't have to be social media posts, right? You could actually turn this into more pieces of content, whatever it is that you're choosing to do. But I want to walk you through how I actually do this when I am launching something. So I'm specifically talking about a launch email here, but you could apply this to any email that you're sending out as long as it's more of a long form email, right? So it should be an email where you're telling a story. It could be a blog post that you're choosing to send out all in an email, or it could be more of a sales email. Whatever it is, it needs to be a long form piece of content. Okay, so that's kind of the stipulation. So this particular email here is a few pages long. It's definitely one of my longer ones here. And this was one where I was promoting my workshop, Get Paid to Create. Now, I did that live. As you know, I always pre-sell everything before I actually create it. So that's exactly what this particular process was all about, was that I was pre-selling this workshop, which was all about pre-selling. So it was a really good connection. But what I typically do when I'm launching, so this is slightly outside of our repurposing piece here, but I think it helps if you've got this kind of context. It's very much about writing my emails first, then I repurpose the content from my emails to create all my social media posts. And typically, if I'm in a launch, and typically if I'm launching something, I'm launching it for 5 days, maybe 2 weeks, but no longer than that. I am going to need content for about 5 posts per day, right? So 5 pieces of content per day during that launch. So you can see why you might need 30 pieces of content, particularly if you're doing 5, right? So 5 times 5 is actually more. Actually 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So it's actually less. I don't need all of that. Numbers are not my strength. So normally I need my calendar, and yes, I totally did just count on my fingers. I'm not going to apologize. This is how my brain works. So let's start with this piece of content, right? So whatever it is that you're doing, how do you actually go about splitting this up? Well, the first thing that I do is I typically look for any places where I can actually split the content up. So this is starting off with a story. So easily, straight away, what I can do is post just the story piece. So I can see here it starts with back in 2015, blah, blah, blah. So I could literally just go like this. So all the way down to here, all of this. And then I could probably split it up from there and stop here, right? So I'm going to do this. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another document and I'm going to show you all the 30 pieces. So let me go ahead and do that first, and then I'll come back and show you what that document looks like. Okay, so now I've set up the separate document where I'm going to put all the posts in. So basically what I'm going to go through and do is just pull pieces of content. Now, you're probably going to need to tweak these, right? Like you can't just copy and paste verbatim, although you could, but typically you need to add a little bit more context. But it's really helpful if you actually do have a little bit of story already included in your email, because stories work extremely well for your social media posts. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come back into this main one. So I did it from there. And then I might, pull this piece here. Why was I so confident? I'm just kind of reading all of these things, all the ingredients. Perfect. So I'm just going to pull this into another one as well. So post to, it's just going to go slow because we are sharing screens. So post to. So let me go through and just grab all the different pieces of content so that you can kind of see how I start. So I'm going to do that. And then I would definitely grab this one, launch day, right? So that's kind of the next part of the story. Now you could release these as part of a series in your social media posting schedule, however you want to do it. Or you could literally just do this, right? Launch day was quite the event, and just grab that and then have an image go along with it, right? Like as I'm doing this, I'm really just thinking about how am I going to use this? Where does it fit in this entire process? So I'm going to do this. I'm also looking for kind of quotable pieces of content too. So maybe, something that I can quote, like if I said something really profound, which isn't always the case. But I just wanted to kind of just walk you through that. So I'm going to grab that. Then I could definitely start with another, another story at this point, right? Like I could say all of this. I could split this up. But basically, I'm just going to do this, right? I'm just going to grab this one, and then this would be another one. And then this is great, right? How do I avoid making the same mistake as I did? Could be a starting of a post. So really I'm treating this like prompts as well, right? Like I'm looking for stories, I'm looking for prompts, and I'm looking for quotable pieces of information, anything to spark an idea for more content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go through the rest of this, and I'm going to pull out the 30 pieces of content, and then I'm going to show you how I actually go through and repurpose it. How do I actually make it work, right? Because if you just pull all these pieces out and then just go and share them, they're kind of not going to make sense because the content isn't necessarily designed to be standalone on its own. But if you approach this like you're just developing prompts to begin with, and then you refine as you go. So I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to go ahead and do all of that because you do not need to see me come up with all of those 30 pieces of content. And then I'm going to show you how you then take that content and what you do with it. Okay, so bear with me. I'll be back in a second. Okay, I am back. Now, I think that took me maybe 15, 20 minutes tops to create all of this. So I've literally pulled it from that email. Now I'm going to share both the original email and this document with you so that you can do a comparison. You can see where I've pulled content from. And now I'm going to show you how to repurpose this content, right? Instead of just taking what you've got here and just posting it, which you probably could do, but I don't recommend it because it might not make any sense. So let's just start with post number 1. So this is just kind of a snapshot. Now, at this point, what I would be doing is also deciding what type of post this was going to be. Am I going to add an image to it? Is it going to be a video, right? It depends. You make the decision based on the social media platform that you're sharing this content on. Now, if you're going to share this on multiple platforms, you could take this a step further and create multiple posts from just this one post, right? That is repurposing on steroids. I'm not going to walk you through that because it's a little bit longer, but you could do that, right? You could do short form content for Twitter. For Instagram, you would 100% want to do an image. You could do a story image, or you could do an actual story. So lots of options, but what I highly recommend is that you focus on one social media platform, particularly when you're in some type of launch, because you will show up better if you're just doing one thing on one platform. Now, you can share this content across multiple platforms, but I wouldn't be going and spending time changing it, right? Show up on one place, just do what's easy. If you want to do multiple, of course you can. So with post 1, this is just going to be a straight story post. So I'm just going to type story post so I know that it's text only, right? So story post for me That's my signal. This is going to be a story post only. So reading through this, I might also add some emojis. I might highlight things. This is where I would spend the time to go through and do that. So with this particular one, I've just taken like that snapshot, and I've ended at, once they were completed, I couldn't wait to launch these courses out into the world. From here is where I'm going to tweak and refine. So from this point forward, now I'm going to actually say, but things didn't turn out the way I expected. And it's the reason that the Get Paid to Create workshop exists. And because this is promotional, right, I'm going to pop a link. If you want to hear more of the story and learn what went wrong, head over to hustleandgroove.com/GPC workshop. And that's it. That's about as much as I need to do. So the actual repurposing and tweaking piece here might take you half an hour to an hour, or you can do this approach, which is actually what I typically do. So I typically do this, and then on the day that I am scheduling out the posts, I will take 5 and refine them as I go. That just works better for me. It just gives my brain a little bit more time to marinate. And if anything else has come up, like if I've received a question in that relates to this, then I might want to overwrite an existing post that I've kind of got here. I might decide to change my mind and do a live or, an IGTV, whatever, right? So you can 100% come in and repurpose this entire document and rewrite them all now. But for me, I prefer to do them as I go. I've got the bones here. So now all I have to do is create as I go. And yes, that also means images too. So images, GIFs, all of those things, I do that. It's part of my money-making activities, right? First hour of my day, after my self-care process has done, the next step that I'm doing is my money-making activities. And part of that process is taking this content, sharing it on social media. If I have to do a couple of images, I'll do that. If I'm going to do anything live, I will schedule it, those types of things. So that's how I'm kind of doing that. But I just wanted to give you a little bit more context around that as well. So let's jump down to maybe a smaller one. Okay, perfect. Launch day was quite the event. And so here I would probably do this as a Facebook Live. This is just my prompt. I don't script any of my videos. This video is not scripted. I'm definitely more someone who can just kind of speak off the cuff, particularly when you are knowledgeable about the thing, right? When you are knowledgeable, you know what you're talking about. You don't often need scripts. Sometimes I'll have some bullet points though, because that helps me stay on track, because I can go off on a tangent. So it's whatever works for you, but for me, this would be enough. Launch day was quite the event, would be enough for me to just riff off, right? So that is relatively easy. So post number 5, let's say 30 minutes went by, then 60, then 2 hours, crickets. I would probably do a GIF here. I'm a huge fan of Friends, so I'd probably pull a Friends GIF, and I'd probably use the pivot one. Pivot! That's one of my favorite Friends GIFs, and I'd probably do that. So I'm probably going to pop that here. That's all I need to know. And from here, I would be talking about when I realized that I needed to do something, what I need to do differently, all of those things. So I would probably just put a note here, pivot story, what I needed to do differently, tweaks, changes, etc. So this is more just for notes for when I actually go to do the post, because that's what works best for me. But like I said, you can 100% come in and rewrite all of these based on what works best for you. And you can just see, like I'm scrolling through, this is all from that one email, 30 pieces of content, right? 30 pieces of content. 100%. How is this not something that you're doing right now? And you don't have to do this as part of a launch, right? Like I said, you could apply this to a blog post or to any other email that you are writing, as long as it is long form content. So if we go back to this original email, let's just take a look and see how many words this actually is. So if I come up into tools and I go word count, so this is about 800 words, give or take, right? So it's not even 1,000 words. You could probably get away with creating 30 pieces of content from a 500 word email. It might just take you a little bit longer to do that. So 800 words is a good starting point. So I'm not saying that it needs to be pages and pages, but just something that you can start with. One email, 30 social media posts. This is how you do it, right? I'm Lise Cartwright. I'm so excited that you're here. And if this is your first time hanging out on our YouTube channel, go ahead and like and subscribe so that you can get access to more tidbits of information like this. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here. And if you've got a question about this at all, go ahead and comment below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.